Cool. All right, so we will have a crack at it first, because, let's see if we've broken it in the last 5 minutes. There is our short URL. We go, post it in, takes us to Google. It's pretty exciting. So we started thinking about it from the perspective of getting it into the database, just kind of going little bit by little bit. So we thought about it for a bit, and then we read the page. We were like, yes, converting to base 36 is great, and that sounds like a fun idea. So we started with generating a model for the link, and then a controller for the link. So if we go down to database, you'll be able to see the schema. So that's all that is in the database. So we did that, and then we started trying to get it to appear on the screen. In the controller, we only did an index and a show, because that's all it needed. Those were the two wireframed pages.
Can we see your index again?
Yeah. So we started with getting it from here into the database. So we started with this form. We got a lot of errors, and then some more different errors. And then we started to have things actually appearing in the database. You can see that's us being like, let's make it fit in the database. So the first 17 was us trying to get things to actually go in the database, and when they were, just sort of getting there. Things got saved in the link controller, which is that one. So the first one was the create one. So we did at link, it was link params. That was the private method where it was the strong parameters of what's allowed in and what's not.
Can you walk us through that again?
Yeah.
Maybe like line
by line. So this is our making a new link, which the form sends to this. So the form sends the parameters when you click create. If we go to the form, if I can find it, when it does this submit thing, it goes to make a new link in create. That's just where it sends it to. I don't know why. That's what it does. This link params, we talked about it a few days ago. Rails has strong parameters now, so you have to tell it what it's allowed to save into it. So in a private method, we're saying when you're making a link, the only thing that you're allowed to actually save is this one parameter. You're only allowed an original URL. So we made one of that. We got errors for a while until we realized we hadn't saved the link. And then we saved the link, and things started appearing in our database. So that was like when we first got one in this whole thing here. What was that, at 4:20? I don't think my database time is right. I think it's an hour early. I don't know why. My database time is always an hour early.
It's like an AM time. It's probably saved as GMT.
Right. So the time in England at 4:20 AM this morning, we saved to the database. Once.
Actually, I might just pause there. Why do you think Rails is saving in GMT? Yeah, if we all kind of agree on the standard, doesn't matter where you deploy it, if you know you're always talking GMT, your data will always match up.
Cool. That answers a question I've been wondering about since yesterday, so that's good. Then we wanted it to redirect to the show page, which took a lot of just trial and error and not redirecting to the right place until eventually it did, because we wanted it to redirect with the show page and to still have in the parameters the link that had just been saved so that we could spit out the URL. So when we eventually got it to redirect to the show page, let's get it up here. When it does that, it goes through the show of the link controller, and this is where the converting to the little bit happens. So the ID has been passed in from that redirect to at link, passes in the ID of the link that's in the database. So that's going to be one of these little numbers here. That link is going to be converted to base 36. It was just from the document. And that's going to become the URL extension. We're going to make a short URL by putting together the one that is our local host where we're at, plus the URL extension, which is just string interpolation as a Ruby file. I always forget these are Ruby files. I'm like, how do I get them into strings? String interpolation. And then it just spits that out on the show page. Yeah. The last step is when you put that in another link, the route to make it go redirect to is this get. So when you have get, this is the root, localhost 3000, plus the short URL, which is the hash that we made from the index of the saved link. We made a method called send to URL in the links controller. So we made our own method in the link controller all the way up here, and here is that method. From params, it takes the little extension. So if we go back to the Google one, except it won't be there. It was I or something. Okay, thank you. So this is the little extension that gets sent in as a parameter. We convert that to an integer using base 36, unhashing it, and we find the link with that ID, and we redirect to that link. And it worked. And we did some fist bumps because we were pretty excited that it worked.
That's really great. Awesome explanation. We went through a lot of steps just then.
We should leave that up there.
Some questions today. What was the most confusing bit for everyone? Which bit doesn't make sense? Which is the most confusing part of the code right now?
Actually, I've got a question. So when you redirect to at link, how does that work?
Dunno.
I think if it's an instance of a model, Rails has got a little helper behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slash link slash whatever the ID is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it goes to the show.
And then that, because when it did that, so we got an error, but at the bottom that was saying that it had the parameter ID equals 14 in the bottom of it.
Okay.
So we're like, well, there's a parameter coming through. We can use the parameter that's coming through, and found it that way. It's very much a trial and error process.
If you use scaffolding, what would be the difference in terms of what you would have to change in the link controller?
It'd be pretty similar. You just have a lot of leftover fluff,
Yeah. Which you can throw in.
and you need some type of you need to set up a redirect route.
Yeah.
The rest of it would be pretty similar.
We pulled a bunch of this from other stuff.
Yeah.
Like the create stuff we pulled from something that we made yesterday. So it was all very similar.
What else? What other tips would you have, like referencing other projects? So,
Yeah, we pulled the form out of other projects, and we just kept trying to ping it and work out what it was doing and reading the errors and trying a slightly different syntax or whatever. Do you have thoughts on that?
Vanessa!
No, that's not how it worked. I could not have, like, you say you couldn't do this on your own, neither could I. Like, I would just sit there being like, yeah, okay, like, it's, dang.
But only one.
We'll split it.
what was your biggest learning moment or like growth moment? Is there something that didn't work for a while?
Thank you.
Biggest learning moment.
Watching Vanessa code it looks super straightforward. She was just like, okay, this is what's happening now. This is the error, we'll fix that error. Okay, this is the next error, we'll fix that error. Whereas I feel like when I'm doing it by myself, I'm like, everything's broken, I can't do anything. Like, there's nothing that will fix this. But it's just really methodical and really cool to watch happen.
I have the other thing is like, because someone's watching me, I'm like, I can't give up. Sian's watching. I have to keep going and try and fix the next error. Like, yeah.
Sounds like an awesome.
It was a good combination.
Well, it's like if Vanessa freaks out, then we'll all freak out then.
I have to stay calm. I'd never defined like just a method that was whatever I wanted in a controller.
Was it liberating?
It was. I was like, well, it's Ruby. Surely it just works like Ruby, and it does, which is quite nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Could you share your code on GitHub, please?
Sure.
Thanks so much. That was great.
I guess we stop it. How do I stop the screen recording now?